Hey guys, welcome to Muse and Magic 1111. Thanks for stopping by my channel for yet another deep dive into the celebrity relationship reading. Today I chose to do Will and Jada. Um, I'm not one of those people who follow like social media. I'm really not on there very often. The most you're gonna do is see me here on YouTube, and I don't even film my videos here very often. So trying to get better on that, but I just kind of feel like filming when, Spirit pretty much calls me to do something very special. So that's whether it's a twin flame reading or, of course, whether it's these celebrity reads like we are today. Again, my name is Aisha. I am coming to you from Bay Area, California. I am your local healer, muse, spiritual advisor, author, workshop facilitator, homeschool mom, and so much more. So today, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into Will and Jada's relationship. I say I don't follow social media because I know there's all the stuff about them separating and getting back, and I typically don't follow it, those types of news or the different type of news sectors, whatever, because sometimes the information is misguided. It's also inaccurate at times, and also just because I don't care. Right? Life is life in my own life. And so typically that's what I'm up to, right? Also, just because I know that there's just a lot of misinformation out there. So rather than try to judge people from things that hearsay, right? Just like kind of just knowing for myself intuitively or maybe deep diving like today, in a way that I feel hits home for me because it's using the specific tools from universe to make sure that we have more accurate information, okay? And then also just respecting people's privacy as well. And I get that that's kind of like, oxymoron. How can you be a star? Like star and privacy in the same, you know what I mean? Celebrity privacy, like in the same sentence or phrase is kind of like, what do you mean? Because you're kind of signing up for your life to somewhat be on display. But I still like to have a certain amount of, respect for our quote unquote stars. I speak as though I'm using tarot, like the star card, or even the sun card, right? So, with that being said, I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction into what this reading is. This is not a typical tarot reading. It's not something where I'm pulling random cards and then, the cards are giving the energy of what's surrounding this couple. This is actually a love card reading from the Destiny card. I'll call it a science of sorts, but a Destiny card book by Robert Lee Camp. He just has laid it all out for us. This is the ancient science, of course, dates all the way back to Egypt, if I'm not mistaken, ancient Egypt. However, he was able to grasp this concept and put it all in a book to make it a little bit easier for those of us, so that the art does not, get lost. And so, again, when we are born, each of us, it's just like in astrology. When you're born in a certain astrological season. On a certain day, the sun is in a certain sign, and so forth and so on. But with the destiny cards, what it is that when you're born, there's an actual card that relates to the very specific date that you were born on. Doesn't matter the year, it's just the day, the month, and the day. So, for example, I am October 31st birthday, which makes me a Four of Hearts destiny card. The destiny cards are, think of the 52 card deck that we use to play, card games with. And there is a belief that that was the original tarot, okay? So I haven't done a deep dive into that, even though I am a reader, because I use oracle decks, and because that part of it doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is that I am accurate with the energy and that I'm tapped in, with my intuition when I'm doing these readings. So a lot of this will come up just intuitively as well, but this is very specific to the birth dates of these people. Okay, so I just feel like I needed to give you a little bit of that background so you can understand what this is. When we talk about a life spread, it's just saying the general energies of the person, mundane, um, earthly energies of these people. When we talk about a spiritual spread, because you will hear me use this language. The spiritual spread just lets you know that if someone comes up in that particular spread for you, or for anyone, it just means that there has been an obvious past life connection, okay? Some spiritual connection, some spiritual tie to past life, okay? In each of these readings, there will be five aspects. They're called conditions, but I'm going to use the word aspects so you can kind of understand better what that is. And that's just planetary aspects. You know, you may have Neptune, Pluto, Mars, all the different, planets that you may show up to a person as, or they may show up to you as in your relationship. And that will determine the lessons they come to teach you. It will determine how you relate to one another in relationship, whether you are or are not the most compatible, and so forth and so on. Okay, so I didn't explain that in the last one that I did for Usher and Jenny G. I didn't get that deep as far as really explaining what I meant when I said life spread and, spiritual spread, but I wanted to make sure I got that across this time, because this is not the last. This is the second that I'm doing for this couple, Jada and Will, but I definitely feel like it's something that I know people want to hear about, so I'm going to do another one very shortly after this, and I'm thinking about doing Common and J Hud, so, let me know, who you guys would like to hear about as a couple. So again, let's dive into Jada Pinkett. She is a Six of Clubs because she was born on September 18th. So that makes her a Six of Clubs. That will never change. That is her birth card, okay, in the 52 card deck, or in the 52 Destiny card deck. Will Smith, his birthday is September 25th, and that makes him a Queen of Hearts. So just to give you a little bit of background on what that even means as far as personality, Jada Pinkett, the Six of Clubs, is someone who typically is bound for success from the gate. This is the kind of like a card that generally comes with people automatically being psychic, intuitive, even though many of them may not even tap into it this lifetime. They tend to be people who are I want to say in love with love. That's another thing that kind of has come up before also, in some of the other Destiny cards as well, personalities. But in love with love, sometimes things can be a little, seem a little fantastical maybe, if that makes sense. But they are definitely swayed a little bit more to the romantic side. This lifetime they come to learn a lot about bearing truth. Like, they have these psychic abilities and this attachment to spiritual knowledge and wisdom that's kind of buried within. And if they tap into that this lifetime, they can really offer a lot to the world. Okay, a lot of ancient wisdom and knowledge. I want to say esoteric even, to the world. And so that kind of makes sense because I don't know these people personally, right? But I do feel like Jada has displayed, even in the way she's raised her children, hints of being a bit on the esoteric side of wisdom. I mean, versed in esoteric wisdom. Okay, I'll just put it that way. Or metaphysical science or something to the tune of that. Okay, don't quote me on that, but I just feel intuitively that definitely, because I've heard her children speak, and while others may think, oh my God, they're crazy, but they're teaching their children, I completely understand their language. Okay, so I think that's very accurate. Also, these can be personalities that come here to learn lessons in truth, like literally living in their truth. Many of them will profess, many Six of Clubs will profess to be very authentic and, hey, I only speak the truth. I only speak what's on my mind. I say what it is. I mean what I say, type of thing. But then secretly hiding their own personal lies. And so the thing about it is, this lifetime, those lies always come to the surface. Truth always comes to light because they come here to get those lessons in truth and wearing your truth, like really standing for your truth and being able to voice that and live in that. Literally, most of them will actually practice what they preach. Okay. So that kind of gives you a little bit of Jada's personality, and we'll go over to Will, who happens to be the Queen of Hearts. And yes, if you were also born on September 25th, that means you would also be the Queen of Hearts. Doesn't matter male or female, because these are still character or personality traits, okay, that align with the Queen of Hearts, or with that September 25th birthday. Um, there's, I think, almost one birthday each month, date each month, that will actually line up with the Queen of Hearts. Don't mark me on that, or don't quote me on that. But for the most part, most of these cards, there's at least one birthday. Not, I can't even say month because there's 52, but each month there are very similar cards that show up. Okay, so in the majority of the months, you will find a Queen of Hearts somewhere in there. So you don't have to just be born on September 25th to be a Queen of Hearts person. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say. Um, but Will Smith has a more fantastical view of love and relationship and his partners. Typically, this is someone who's really loves his children. He loves the idea of family and marriage as well, but mainly his children. Like nothing can come between the Queen of Hearts and their children. It's a really awesome bond that they typically have. And the Jada's with the Six of Clubs has that same kind of familial sense as well. Like really, they're typically very good mothers. Okay, so back to Will. So with the Queen of Hearts, just someone who's typically a good father. A lot of these men are usually men who will stay at home while the wife goes out to work, and bring the be the breadwinner or whatever. Okay, they're typically a little bit more sensitive than most men. But they also can be extremely charming. The Queen of Hearts is also, for the feminine, it would represent Aphrodite, right? So someone who's very charming and who's come here with everything that they need to be beautiful and witty, and again, I say charming to the world, right? But can also show up sometimes as challenging for people, because one of the things they have to work on um, would be possibly just their sensual and pleasurable, I almost want to say exploits, but you know, getting into trouble in that way, right? Their sensual or sexual appetite, possibly, right? It could be a bit of a challenge. Um, and attracting partners who will typically cheat on them, right? Who will seek outside the relationship for, um, pleasures as well, right? So all of these things I'm saying because we've followed, if you're a fan of Will and Jada, you followed them over the years, as a representation of beautiful black love. And they do both have that sense of, both of them together, these destiny cards represent this awesome connection and love that can be rather long lasting if handled carefully. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to leave that there. At least you have a little bit of background of these two energies and these two personalities. And then now we can kind of go over into where they show up for each other and how they show up for one another this particular lifetime. Okay, I'm going to put my glasses on now so I can take a look at my notes, because there's so much information, like I have to write these things down. So let's take Jada first. And Jada, again, is born September 18th, which makes her a Six of Clubs. So there's 5 aspects, remember, and the first 3 are the most potent. These are the most potent aspects in the relationship. So those are the ones we want to really pay attention to see if this is a match, or if this is a true love connection, if it's a past life connection, if it's a karmic connection, like really what it is. And then the last 2 aspects, while they still are very relevant, they're just not as potent, right, in the forefront. So the first aspect would be that Will is Venus to Jada. So what that means is that she feels a lot of love and appreciation for him. And we're not going to mark whether this is present or past, or you know what I'm saying, or anything like that. But she feels a lot of love and affection for him and appreciation. They had a lot of common, or have a lot in common. So they can tend to share very pleasurable times together. In this second condition, she shows up as Neptune to Will in the spiritual spread, which tells us that there is some past life connection there, right? That this was a very deep, um, feels very deep, maybe like there's this deep psychic subconscious link that maybe neither one of them could explain. And this also kind of makes me think back to a story that Jada once told about knowing that she was pregnant with her first baby by Will, like, the night of, it's like she just knew I'm pregnant. And it was true. And I know that that's a real thing because that literally happened to me. And so, with my first baby, like I knew that night, like, man, for real. So there is this psychic, that's kind of confirmation of this psychic ability, even in her birth card, her birthright, right? Just being a six of clubs, and then adding that to the fact that this is a very psychic connection and a spiritual connection, which tells us there's some past life, possibly unresolved things that they came here to experience, maybe just to live out the rest of a relationship that they didn't get a chance to finish out another lifetime. Um, yeah, so this could mean that on Will's side, he tends to see, or has tended to see, Jada through rose tinted glasses, right? Very like a fantasy type woman, and then at some point there has to be this, with the six of club personality, there is this place where she has to come up out of that and live in her truth, because that could be very binding to feel like you have to show up for someone all the time as their fantasy rather than just being yourself. And that's where you can see those challenges or issues start coming up in the relationship. So this could be a very romantic, idealistic, okay? However, like I just said, someone could get tired of playing out this fantasy, right? Um, Particular in Jada's case, because this is how, Will shows up for her and how he comes to her in her particular chart and her reading. Okay, so you may have, it's like Jada can have a mystical, she probably does have this very mystical power over Will. Okay. But she also has this responsibility. Remember, that's what she came to work out this lifetime: truth and honesty, and living in truth and being forthcoming. And so, there's a responsibility here to Jada to want to be honest and truthful, with them. And it's almost like if they can tend to do that and live in their truth, they can bring a lot of great things to this world. Just, a show of universal love, because that is exactly what this connection represents in a couple of different aspects: universal love. Okay. And then next, aspect, which is, Will is someone who challenges, Jada. Okay. He would show up to her, his personality, I'm saying, to be someone who's very critical of her, who kind of picks at things because, in a way, it kind of seems like he's a perfectionist. Maybe he's doing these things to try and show you how you can be better, a better person, um, a better, better at what you do, or whatever. However, we know that no one really likes that. So that's why someone can kind of show to be a little challenging in that area, because no one really likes to be criticized, especially all the time. So it could cause a little bit of rocking of the boat, right? So really what this is about, if someone is open to this criticism, is really about pushing you to, it's really pushing your way through to fulfillment, because remember, this is your lesson. Um, And this could actually render you a reward for going through this transformation, because it's very, it's almost like, I want to say, nothing worth anything comes easy. You understand what I'm like, so it's not something that's going to feel good in the moment when you're going through these things, these challenges, but it's definitely something that will grow you and really enhance you as a person. Yeah, and it could totally feel like a blessing, because really what this is, it's almost like cosmic reward. Okay. Um, so will can show up as a cosmic reward, as someone who takes you to that next level this lifetime, helps you get through some really hard lessons, and then at the end of that, there you are very much rewarded by universe. Okay. And then there's uh Will, who shows up as Saturn to Jada in the life spread. That's kind of difficult. That can be kind of hard, because that means they're showing up to you as your teacher, right? To teach you some new ways, to teach you something, a new way to see things, a new perspective on things, or just a new way of doing things. I mean, just teach you new ways. And so again, that could be a little challenging and maybe burdensome at times, because it could feel like someone's always testing you, right? Someone's always critical of you in certain areas, telling you what you need to do to improve yourself, telling you what you do to do something better. And so that could sometimes make people feel very limited, um, make them feel very limited in someone's presence like that. Like if someone's always, correcting you, it can, Spirit even tells me right now, it can probably feel a little narcissistic, like they're all always, you know, and where's the praise? You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that that's what plays out in this relationship. This is just a possibility of something that can occur because of where this, because there's Saturn, and because Wilkin shows up for Jada as Saturn in this particular aspect. But again, this is the fourth condition, so it's not the first three prominent ones, but there's a hint of this that could possibly show up in the relationship. Okay, but Jada could also use this criticism, right, and this need to want to push her to do better, or pick at things to be perfect or whatever, as an opportunity definitely to grow and to inspire and incite personal development. And just following them over the years, I can feel, I'm recording, I can see how that can really affect, um, how it has affected their relationship, because we've seen that even in the media at times, those of you who have followed. Okay. I mean, I'm tapped in ever so often, just. And then we have the last aspect where Will would be Mars to Jada. Okay, and the spiritual spread. So there again, there's another spiritual spread here, where there's been some past life um, connection, right? Which would explain why there may be a very psychic link here between the two. Okay. So when Mars shows up as in your spiritual spread, that could possibly mean that in a past life you were either lovers, you were brothers, or you were competitors. Okay. And either way, this is a situation that reminds you that you don't want to compete with this person this lifetime, because that can make for very grueling, very uncomfortable setting or energy within the relationship. But this can also manifest, again, a lot of lust, a lot of anger, or it can manifest both, right? Kind of that breakup to makeup kind of energy. This can be very powerful sexual attraction, or it can be very competitive or hostile feelings towards one another. In some cases, it can be all of the above. All right. So that kind of gives you a little bit of how Will shows up for Jada in the relationship, okay? And now we're going to kind of go over how Jada shows up to Will in relationship. So again, Will is the Queen of Hearts, right? And when this is just by card, so this has no hold on, you know, feminine versus masculine energy. Although, again, you know, the Queen of Hearts does tend to be a more sensitive, a sensitive guy, right? So Will is Venus to her, and I think that showed up in her chart as well. He adores her, and she adores him, right? Lots in common, okay? They feel very comfortable with one another. That probably was one of the things that attracted them to each other in the very beginning. This sense of home, this sense of feeling like I've known you before, right? With those spiritual spreads, or those psychic links, and just being very comfortable, mutually appreciative of each other, and enjoying to spend time together with one another. The next aspect would be that Jada shows up for Will as Neptune, okay, in the spiritual spread. So again, this is past life connection. So this is strong psychic link, okay, this feeling of fantasy, um, this idealism, right? So this could be the relationship of Will's dreams, but it can also feel very nightmarish at times too, because of this connection. Again, this is a connection of universal love here with Neptune. However, Will probably has to be very mindful of putting people, I don't want to say on a pedestal, but like wearing these rose tinted glasses and making people show up for him. Not intentionally, but show up for him in this fantastical way, right? As this fantasy person that they just can't live up to 24/7 if they're going to live in their truth. Okay. Um, the next aspect would be that Will is Saturn to Jada in the spiritual spread. So again, a teacher, um, a teacher to a student who may not always appreciate the lessons, right? Because you're hard on them, pointing out weaknesses or how they can improve or better do this and that to mature, or whatever. Um, so more responsibility, like maybe there's like this aspect can be that there was some responsibility to Will or of Will to return something to Jada that she gave to him another lifetime ago. Okay, now we don't know what that specifically is. It could be a lesson. I teach you this lesson this time, next time you teach me. It could be that, but that also could make for a very difficult, right, and complex connection due to this criticism or due to whatever this lesson may be. Will is Venus to Jada in the spiritual spread. Again, another past life connection. So there's, plenty of confirmation that this is definitely a past life connection. Okay, so there's a strong love bond here. It's really hard to explain, but it's due to past life. Okay, probably felt at their first meeting. It's a good card for marriage and deep love bonds and connections. So Venus is always a really great card to have because we all know that Venus is the goddess of love, right? And it represents all things love. So again, I can see how this could have been a very heated, passionate, sensual, sexual connection. Um, really great for, marriage. Um, really great for marriage and also just intimacy. Okay. The last condition here is that Will is very important in Jada's life. Okay, regardless of where they are in their relationship right now. Very important to Jada in her life. It represents a part of her lifetime goals and challenges. So the reason why it may appear to be a bit of a challenging relationship at times is because Will really did come to teach some very hard lessons, mainly about probably just living in truth, being truth, and also maybe in a way that is connected to not feeling like you have to show up in, I keep saying this, but it's come up several times in this reading, showing up as this fantasy girl, as this perfect person, or as this, person who I almost want to say is acting like someone you are not. You know what I mean? In times where you just want to be yourself. Literally let your hair down and just be yourself. Let your, you know, I'll say your ass hang out because we don't have the other things. But just let your everything hang. Like just let my hair down and just be, just be. And all of my imperfections as well. Um, but he definitely comes here to represent a part of her lifetime goals and challenges. And then once Jada has met those challenges with change, or with just resting in, I almost want to say just kind of like resting and relaxing into it. Like, these are things that, are your personal idiosyncrasies or just whatever. You just relaxing in that and loving every aspect of yourself, which, it seems that she does on the outside looking in, but just really living in your truth. He can become your biggest blessing. That one person who's really taken you spiritually, I'm speaking, not just in physical realm, but just, spiritually, who has elevated and transformed, helped you to um, through your transformation. Okay. Um, all right, guys. Well, that's it. So, all in all, in a nutshell, it looks like, this relationship has had its challenges, but it was still a good relationship, meaning it had the bones and the foundation of a really great connection, past life included. Okay. But now you know how each of them show up for one another, and maybe it explains some of the things you may have heard or seen in the past, um, you know, and present, right? Um, of their love. I still, congratulate them for lasting, for representing, love and Black love and universal love on many levels. And if nothing else, I just always hope that everyone continues to move forward with that being their guide, right? That heart chakra, that space of love. Until next time, I love you guys. I will see you soon. Be well. Ultimate health, wealth, and blessings to you. And until next time, wholeness.